What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning in. Welcome to another episode. Today, I have the pleasure of sitting down with Maya. She's an IT consultant, a tax consultant. You want to introduce yourself? Tell the people where they can follow you.
Yep, thanks for the introduction. Yes, my name is Maya. I go by Miss Eloquent underscore Miss Eloquent on Instagram. Full time, I work as an IT consultant in the corporate world, and then I also individually do tax preparation services for people as well. Um, and I also currently reside in Delaware,
Oh,
so that's
two.
where you can
What's
reach me.
up? 302.
Mm-hmm.
302. Yeah. Do you do business taxes, personal taxes?
Yeah, so I do business taxes, just not S corp. So like LLCs is the reference to business I do. I do not do like S corps, major corporation businesses, and then I do personal individual
You do
taxes.
like Schedule C's and stuff like that for people with
Yep.
small businesses.
Hmm.
Nice. Yeah, that's what I have to fill out every year is the Schedule C. I tried to do them last year by myself. I was like, oh, let me just try and save some money and do them by myself. Listen, that was not the move. It was not the
Yeah,
move.
I see a lot of people try to do it by themselves and then they'll regret it later. They'll end up owing. Like, there's a lot of stuff. I feel like it's just better to work with someone who's familiar with
Yeah,
preparing
definitely. Cause
taxes.
I,
Yeah.
cause my thing is, I write off everything on taxes. I write every damn thing off on taxes. So have you been working from home with this whole shutdown?
I have, and I actually, how do you feel about working from home? I actually love working from home because I feel
I
like,
No, you good. I don't want to cut you off.
no, I was just gonna say, like, I feel like I love working from home because when I was going into the office and stuff like that, like, I felt like I had less time. Like,
Yeah,
I feel like I have more time in my day. Only thing I feel like it's hard to separate work from like my personal time sometimes. Like, I feel like I'm working at like late hours and stuff like that.
right.
But I do feel like I have more time in the day, you know. So, but
Yeah,
how do you
I
feel about it?
I think it's like I like it for the stance for the idea of like you said having more time and like being in more control of your own time. I just think it was cool for like a couple months, but right now it's like, man, I'm ready for the world to get back together.
Hmm. Hmm.
Not even from like a because I'm a graphic designer, so I always work from home. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right,
Like,
right, right.
because I work for myself, it's like it's always just me in my office with my laptop. So
Yeah.
it wasn't even like a pace change from that standpoint. It was like everything else shut down.
No, I agree with you on the everything else. Like, yeah.
Yeah,
So, like, as far as work from home, I like that. But as far as like the world shutting down and like, I feel like even the opportunity to network, like, I feel like that was completely shut off.
yeah,
Just a lot of like meeting new people, like in person. That
yeah,
aspect really got
exactly.
shut down, and work like from other opportunities that you could get. But that's why I do like the Clubhouse app because
Clubhouse
I
is where
feel
it's
like
at.
it's low key opening up like the opportunity to network again, like
Yeah.
because Instagram and like Twitter, it's you just can't get that like real interaction, but
Yeah.
it's like
And to
I could
be able
really
to actually like hear people's voices and like actually be
yeah.
right in talking with people. Instagram is nice, but it's like you might be trying to network with somebody. You might see somebody doing something and be like, oh, let me hit them up. But in Instagram, if you don't follow somebody, it goes to the
It,
you know what I mean? Like requests.
yeah.
So sometimes I'll have to look back at my requests and be like, oh shit, somebody was trying to hit me up. Or I hit somebody up and I know that it's just sitting in their requests versus Clubhouse. You right there. All you got to do is say, hey, what's up? This is what I do.
Exactly.
And people will hit you up.
And I think also like hearing somebody's voice, you can tell like more, like you can kind of tell who they are, are they kind of knowledgeable based on a conversation? You know what I
Right.
mean? If it's worth the time. Cause sometimes like if you don't see that, I mean, I guess you can judge off a page, but sometimes honestly,
Yeah.
like people they might not keep up with the Instagram, but that doesn't mean like their business might not be good or stuff like
Right.
that. So
Yeah. You can definitely tell by people's tones and like just the words and like the verbiage that they use if they, are about their stuff or not.
hmm
For sure. So, what services do you offer that the people that are listening can take advantage of?
Yep. So I offer tax preparation services. And you basically can just reach out to me. My email, one, you can follow me on Instagram _Miss Eloquent, MISSELOQUENT. And DM me if you're looking for tax preparation services. You do not have to be from Delaware for that. I've done taxes all throughout the states, or you can email me at maydtaxes@gmail.com if you want to, reach out to me there. I do charge fair prices, and definitely can also, my main thing is I help all of my clients in terms of giving advice. Like, I'll look at your prior year taxes and I'll give you advice on ways that you can save on taxes. Like, some people are not taking advantage of HSAs. They're not taking advantage of like all of the write-offs you can do for your business, or all of the write-offs that you can do if you own a property and things like that. So I just definitely let people know, like, hey, I think you can definitely start implementing, if you spent a certain amount in your HSA, you could have saved additional or wrote off additional 400, you know what I mean? Or
Right.
500 from your taxes. So I'll let people know stuff like that. So,
And like that's the game. I think it's all about playing the game. Like I know it was a big story that it was a big thing that Trump had paid 750 in federal taxes. And I think everybody was like, yo, how did he do that? But it wasn't illegal what he did. It was completely
no,
legal. He just knows how to play the game and write stuff off.
yeah, there's a lot of people that literally fly for free. They get their hair done for free. Anything around your business, like let's say like your
Yeah.
business is around like YouTube, and like your hair done as a part of the expense. There's certain expenses like people can really take advantage of in terms of
Yeah.
writing off. I have a friend who also is in the tax industry, and he actually added his son um, as like into his HSA account. So literally all expenses around his son, because he added his son as an employee. So that's
Wow.
another write-off that you can do. And there's a lot of different ways like people take advantage of it. His son, by the way, is only 1 years old. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can take advantage of things in order to write off as much as you can.
Yeah. And I think it's definitely valuable for people to hit you up because it's all about that knowledge. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? If you don't know, I can write this off or I can save money here. Cause it's really not like I think when people think about taxes, it's not that you are making money, it's that the money that you made is staying in your pocket. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Like if you're not
Exactly.
somebody, if you're not getting money, it's not going to be of value to you. But if you are, working, I'm not saying, just quote unquote getting money, but if you are like working, or even if you do have a full-time job or a part-time job and you have a business on the side, it's still valuable to get in touch with Maya and learn these things because it's about keeping the money that you make back in your pocket.
Pocket, exactly, right. Especially if you're making a good amount of money and you're spending like 10,000, 15,000, 20,000 on taxes. To get all of that money back, to save that money, is really gonna
Huge.
utilize your income, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Cause you can go, I know like last year I went from if I hadn't have claimed because my small business is still small, but if I hadn't have wrote anything off, I was gonna end up owing the government like $5,000 to $6,000. But I ended up getting money back just because I write off everything. I write off my rent because I have to be somewhere in order to
right.
work because this is my office. I write off my computer, my phone, my internet services, like it because when you have like a business, everything that you need to make your business run, that's an expense.
Hmm.
So
And I definitely say it's really good to have a business, or even if you're doing like something part time. A lot of those expenses really can help decrease your tax liability.
mm,
So, I have I see a lot of people even driving like Uber or Lyft or like these side jobs. Like that's still an expense that they can write off
Yup.
and decrease their tax liability still.
I
So I
do that
think like
same.
honestly, everyone should like try to do little stuff like that.
Yep, I do that same thing too. I have Grubhub, and if I need to go make a couple extra bucks, I'm gonna drive some Grubhub and write off all that mileage.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's all about, listen, I be trying to tell people you can't pigeonhole yourself into just being like,
Yeah.
oh, I do this. It's
Yeah.
it's not
You have to.
2021 yet, but it's 2021. You gotta, if this past year has showed us anything, I think it showed people that if you have a full-time job, even if you have a good full-time job, that can be gone like that. You really have
Exactly.
to think about how are you going to provide for yourself.
And I think honestly, nowadays, especially with where the economy is going, like it's so important to have a skill.
Yeah,
Like it's so important to have a skill outside of just working a job, especially minimum wage jobs. You need to accumulate some type of skill so that in the event of something like this, you have something to fall back on. So even if
right,
it's as how to cut hair or do hair or lashes, or some type of service that you learn, or fixing something, or there's just so many skills that you have the opportunity to learn how to do. But there's so many opportunities to learn, and once you're able to provide those skills, there's no type of job that you lose that will keep you out of making money.
right.
So
Yeah.
I think that's so important.
Yeah, and even if like I remember last year or 2 years ago now, I lost my full-time job, but I was already working part-time with my marketing business. So it's like it sucked because I lost that income, but it was like I'm still good because I still have my business that I do part-time. And that's when I said, all right, let me just go into this full-time. But it's like it's sometimes it takes a couple years. Like
To
people
build it.
people people want it to be instant. They want to be like, oh, I'm starting a business, I'm popping right now. No, it might take a couple years to get that rolling, because I was doing graphics and stuff when I was still in high school and just picking up little client after little client, and then started building upon that.
And I think when you mentioned you do like digital marketing and graphics, I thought that was a dope skill. So what exactly did you say that you do around that?
Um, so most, like, a lot of my clients are churches, and I do like their graphic design. So like, how churches, you go, you sit down, they project stuff on the screens, or like they say, oh, we got this kid's Sunday school class going on, we need all the graphics done for that. I'll do that, or like advertising campaigns for churches, like billboards. I work for charter schools sometimes. Like, I think I told you I just did Spring Garden Academy here in Philly. They have like an annual scholarship because they're a charter school. So I did like interviews with the children and the parents, filmed that, put a video together, gave that to them so that they could promote their scholarship stuff. So it could be a big project like that, or just something small, like somebody needs a logo. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Oh, my business needs a logo. Or like, social media content. If you're a clothing brand and you're like, oh, I want not just a picture of my clothes, but I want it to look professional. You know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
me popping out, I want it to look like an actual professional campaign. That's what I do for people.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a
Did you
nice.
learn that on your own? Like that was, or you went to like school or?
So I was working, I was messing around with like Photoshop and stuff when I was in high school. And I went to a semester of I went to a semester of college in Delaware. I went to Del Tech for one semester. But then I moved, so I dropped out of college there and I moved to Atlanta for a little bit. And then I just was like, I'm just going to teach myself, because the thing about Photoshop, like if you're like a doctor or something, or, like what you do with taxes, I think that might be something that you have to have a formal education, because people want to see, like, are you qualified to do this? I don't know. Did you have to go to college for taxes?
No, so I didn't go to college. I just took courses.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. That's the same
yeah,
thing with me because if somebody sees, oh, you have a tax business, they're probably not going to be like, oh, where'd you go to school? Like when, like with graphic design, your most important thing is your portfolio. So it's like you send people to your website, they see, oh, these are the clients that he's had. This is what he's done. Like when I was 16, I did a graphic for Dogfish Head or not 16, I was like 18. I don't know if you know Dogfish Head, the beer, but just the fact that I did that for them and they're such a huge company is like, oh, put that in the portfolio. And then people, when people look for a designer, they're not looking like, oh, where'd you go to school? What's your
yeah,
level of education? They're
yeah,
looking, can you do
exactly.
the
They're
work?
looking at the work. They're looking at the
Yeah.
design.
So I
Exactly.
think there's a lot of professions where you need to have you know what I mean, a degree. Like if you want to work in the health field, you know what I mean, you're a doctor or something, you need a degree there. But if you're somebody out here that's gonna be owning your own stuff, I don't personally, I don't see how I don't think everybody needs a degree. That's not to bash people who are going to college, you know what I mean?
Right.
But
Yeah, I personally like I went to college for technology, so information technology. Um, but then I decided that I wanted to have, like I said, like I mentioned before, like have an additional skill. So I took courses through Liberty Tax and online courses and I actually work part time at Liberty Tax just to get my foot in the door and feel comfortable with doing taxes that way. And then I started my own. Um, but I think at the end of the day, like when it comes to most services, I feel like just showing quality of work through actually when people actually see it or
right.
referrals, stuff like that, people gain trust that way. It's not always only about credentials.
Yeah. I think it's a lot about the network. Like, what's your network
Yeah, the
like?
network,
Who
right?
are the people that you
Who you
know?
work with and what is it, what can you show for it?
Yeah. And then just like when you work for somebody else's company, most of the time the clients are coming to you. When you work for
Mhm.
yourself, you got to put in the advertising lead work. You got to be
Mhm.
networking with people. You got to be talking to people. So I think it's just like everybody kind of wants that lifestyle of like, oh, I'm an entrepreneur. I can move on my own time. But I think people don't recognize it's even harder than just
Mhm.
popping up to a job. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're like,
Mhm.
you got to do the work. If you don't do it, it doesn't happen. You could have a full-time job and be like, oh, I'm just chilling this week. I'm gonna just drag my feet. And you're gonna get the same paycheck still. But if you're
Exactly.
an entrepreneur and you don't get the job done, you don't get paid.
Exactly.
Yesterday we were talking about like real estate investment, different things that you're trying to invest your money in.
Mhm.
What do you think the importance is of having assets, having investments versus just spending all your money on things that either just, don't have any value or they have value but they depreciate in value?
So, I think the importance really comes from, and I basically, just to start back, I have two sets of parents. My dad married my stepmother, and my mom married my stepfather. And they both live differently. I would definitely say my mom's side, like they were the spenders, they didn't really invest. And my dad, he was like the opposite. He saved a lot and um, he was more, I would say definitely better with his money. And I definitely see the difference in how they are in their 50s in terms of like, you know, living paycheck to paycheck or having an abundance of like
Yeah,
savings, right? But
definitely.
the difference in what I learned is that even though my dad, who did a lot, like he saved his money, he was really frugal with his spending, he was smart with his money. I feel like he lives like, I would say like a better than average life, but I wanted to live more like even better than that.
Right. Like
And
take
I
it up
thought
even higher.
that alone was not enough.
Yeah.
And so I realized that in order to have more than average, um, or not be struggling, you have to invest.
Yeah.
And that's when I started getting into the idea of investing outside of just, your 401k. But that's important outside of like your Roth IRA. That's important, like your retirement accounts. But it's important to invest for right now. And I thought real estate was a perfect alley for that because real estate is one area where you can invest where you get a good amount of saving. I mean, you get a good return back.
Right.
Um, and like if you just have your money in a savings account, you're only getting, most savings account honestly only have like the
Nothing.
0.001%.
You actually losing
Um,
money because of the inflation
exactly.
of money.
Exactly. And if you're, smart enough to know to put your savings in at least, a high yielding savings account, like 3%, 4%, that's making something, but that's still not much. You're probably just averaging, with
Right.
inflation. So outside of just saving and cash, obviously, like just having cash in hand, which I feel like a lot of us in the Black community, we just like to have like cash in hand. Um, that's obviously not something you should do either because again, the 3% inflation rate.
Yeah. I
So
think it's
having,
yeah, it's definitely all about the investing. And like you said, like a
yeah,
retirement is dope, but it's like if you retirement is for retirement. You know what I mean? If
exactly.
you're trying to invest into something that's gonna be able to make you money in the near future,
Now and
like you
now or in
gotta
the near future.
and it's like now, like my dad, he grew up in an era where like they didn't have Robin Hood. They didn't have Stash, you know what I mean? Now you can go and you can invest in stuff, they didn't have Vanguard. Or like now I know you can invest in stocks right on Cash App now. My
Yep.
godmom, she pull up,
Oh,
she
on
got
Cash App. I thought you were gonna say Robinhood.
no Cash App. My godmom got like she pulled I was with her in Atlanta a couple months ago and she like, oh yeah, I got my little Cash App portfolio. She got like
What?
six,
I
seven
never know that
thousand
was
in her
a
Cash
thing.
App.
An analogy. One of my stock brokers have mentioned to me was stocks is really like an upward staircase. So basically, your money can go up and it can kind of flatline, it can go down, right? But it's always going up. So
Right.
at the end of the day, is with stocks is more so long term.
Yeah.
Taking it out and leaving it in. I mean, you can do that. There's people that are successful with that, but overall, that especially if you're investing in the right companies, like big tech, technology companies like a
Yeah.
Tesla or Apple and things like that, they're not going anywhere, and that long term, your money is kind of just gonna continue to go up, even if it
Yeah.
goes down here and there. So.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree. So what made you getting into real estate? Because that's something that I'm trying to do in this upcoming year, buy a property. What would you say would be like a first step for that?
I think the first step in terms of getting into real estate is understanding your budget. Um, what can you what can you invest in real estate in terms of buying? Now, I know that wholesaling, you don't necessarily need too much money um, because most of the money is really spent on marketing
Right.
and finding, using the different websites like List Source, things like that to find the different deals. So if you are short on money, wholesaling, from my experience, is the best route to start at. And then you can basically get involved with first getting educated. There's a lot of free education you can go and look up on YouTube. Bigger Pockets, I would say, is probably my favorite podcast in YouTube in terms of real estate. You can literally look up, they have every area of real estate that you can possibly think of, they cover it. And, so whether it's wholesaling, whether it's buy and hold, whether it's flipping, whether it's Airbnb, whatever type of area you want to go into real estate, they have somebody that's gone through it, that's invested in it, and they have advice on there. So I would
Mm.
say, get the knowledge and then also understand your budget. So again, wholesaling is a good place to start. If you feel like you have a good amount of savings, like 10K savings in terms of to invest in real estate, then I would say buy and hold is a good place to look at. And to get involved with that, I would say understand what you want in terms of um, understand what you want in terms of return. So as far as returns go, if you look at like multifamily properties, that's my favorite area, but because it usually yields the high more of a return.
Right, because you got
But
multiple tenants in there.
exactly, but you might look at it as okay, that might be more work because there's more tenants, or you might look at it as it might cost a little bit more to find like a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex. You might be okay with just getting a single family house with 2 bedroom, one
Right,
bath. Those tend to be cheaper, right? And you can look into those type of houses and say, okay, you know what, I'm fine with a 10% return rather than a 15%.
right.
But at least bare minimum, your return should always be 10%. And again, not to like go too much in detail, but Bigger Pockets talks a lot about like the returns that you like in terms of numbers and how to analyze a property and all that stuff. I would definitely suggest to look at that so like what criteria you should be looking at in bare minimum in a house, and then also take advantage of the different products you can get if you're a first time buyer. So FHA, first time home buyer, where you only have to do 3%. So
Mm.
if you're looking at a, $100,000 house, that's only a few K, like
Right.
5K, 6K
And
that
I
you need to put
know
down.
you can also do in certain places you can do USDA. Like I know if
Hmm.
you're in like Wilmington, Philadelphia area, you can't do USDA. But my brother, he bought a house a couple years ago to rent out in like the Rehoboth area of Delaware,
Hmm.
and you could do USDA down there. And I think he ended up having to put 0% down. He just rolled everything of the closing costs onto his mortgage.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different programs, like such as NACA. Like you can buy investment property through NACA. NACA is specifically for like minorities or
What's it
low
called?
income
NACA?
housing.
Ooh,
Yeah.
ooh, let me write this down.
And you can essentially put close to
What's the
0%
NA
down as well
stand?
there. I think with some of the programs, you just have to look at the requirements for NACA. I believe you have to be living there a certain amount of years. So that's the only thing. Like I
Uh,
would say for that would be perfect for a multi-family, so you can maybe live there for the requirement of years and then move
right,
out, stuff like that, or even live there and like Airbnb it, stuff like
right.
that. I think it's like if you want to put the minimum percent down, take advantage of those different opportunities. But I did FHA. I did FHA 203K renovation loan, which
Mm,
is I only was required to put 3.5% down, and that the cost of the house was 210,000. And then the 203K part was the renovation part. So it was a home that I found for sale by owner that needed some TLC, needs some work done. Um, and with a 203K loan, they basically bunched together the renovation into the mortgage. So it's not like additional payment.
mhm,
So basically the renovations totaled up to around $50,000. But it was added into the mortgage. So essentially it was the 210 buying price plus the
mhm.
50,000, and the mortgage was a 260. So basically, it's like I bought a $260,000 house,
Right.
after it's fixed up. Yeah, so
Mm.
um, that
You
worked out
you a
best for
big
me
boss
because
is
now
what
you
you're
have,
saying. You a boss is what you're trying to say.
yeah, yeah. But I thought that was the smartest because I'm buying a house with built-in equity.
Yeah,
So the money that it costs to fix it, now I put in $50,000 equity, and I didn't have to pay $50,000 out of my pocket.
right.
That's the key. So like finding ways to save more of your money is key. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah, it's definitely some game. I appreciate that. Um, all right. Well, I mean, I think that's all we got. You want to just let people know one more time where they can follow you at?
Yep. So once again, you can follow me, um, Miss Eloquent. So that's underscore Miss MISSELOQUNENT on Instagram. And then you can also DM me or you can email me at MAYADtaxes@gmail.com.